He sat alone on the edge of the playground, his small backpack dragging behind him like a heavy weight. The other kids ran past, laughing and shouting, their faces glowing with excitement. But he didn't join them. No one called his name, no one invited him to play, and no one even noticed he was there. His hands trembled slightly as he fidgeted with the straps of his backpack, hoping somehow someone would see him, not just see him, but really see him. People often walked by without a second glance. Teachers glanced over, thinking he would be fine on his own. Even the janitor, sweeping nearby, barely gave him a nod. It was like he was invisible, like he didn't exist in their busy little world. And in that moment, the weight he carried wasn't just in his backpack, it was in his heart, growing heavier with every passing minute. Before we dive into this story, if you love heartwarming stories about the power of kindness, don't forget to subscribe to Kindness Story Hub, hit that like button, and leave a comment sharing your thoughts. Your support helps us bring more real, inspiring stories to everyone who needs a little hope today. His name was Liam, a quiet 11-year-old boy who had recently moved to a new town. The transition had been hard. He missed his old friends, his familiar streets, and the comfort of a home he knew inside out. But more than that, Liam had always been shy, the kind of kid who found it easier to watch the world than be part of it. In his old school, he had been invisible too, but he had friends who made up for it. Here, he felt truly alone. The first week of school had been particularly rough. During lunch, he sat at the far end of the cafeteria, a half-eaten sandwich growing cold on his tray. Groups of kids sat together, chatting, sharing jokes, and swapping snacks. Liam tried to make eye contact with a few of them, smiled timidly, but the smiles didn't come back. One boy accidentally knocked over Liam's water bottle while running past. Liam apologized quietly, but the boy didn't even look back. It wasn't just the kids who ignored him. Sometimes, teachers asked questions in class, and when Liam tried to answer, his voice barely rose above a whisper. A few students snickered under their breath, making him retreat into the safety of silence. Every day, he walked home carrying a growing sense of loneliness, wishing that anyone would simply notice him for who he was. Then came Wednesday. Wednesday was different. Liam was sitting under the old oak tree in the corner of the playground, tracing patterns in the dirt with a stick. He didn't notice the laughter of the other kids, didn't hear the ball bouncing nearby. He was lost in a world of shadows and quiet wishes. That's when she appeared. Her name was Emma. She was one of the newer students too, but unlike Liam, she had an easy confidence about her. Her hair was tied back in a messy ponytail, and her sneakers were scuffed from a day of running around. She didn't just look at Liam. She saw him. "Hey," she said, kneeling down beside him. Liam flinched at first, startled by someone actually talking to him. Emma smiled warmly, like she already knew him, and it was the most natural thing in the world to say hello. "Do you want to build something in the dirt?" Liam hesitated. It had been a long time since anyone had invited him to do something simple, something playful. Okay, he mumbled, his voice barely audible. Emma didn't rush him. She didn't ask him questions he couldn't answer. She simply began scooping dirt into small mounds, patting them down, and forming little hills. Liam watched for a moment, then cautiously joined in. Slowly, he found his rhythm, adding a tiny fort here, a little tunnel there. They worked in comfortable silence, punctuated by occasional laughter when one of the mounds collapsed or a stick fell over. As the days passed, Emma continued to check on Liam. She would save him a seat during lunch, share her pencils when he forgot his own, and sometimes just sit with him under the oak tree, not saying much at all, just keeping him company. For the first time in weeks, Liam felt a warmth he hadn't felt since moving, the warmth of being seen, of being included. Word of their friendship started to spread. A few kids, curious about why Emma was always talking to Liam, approached them one afternoon. "Why do you hang out with him?" one boy asked, clearly puzzled.
Emma looked at Liam, smiled, and simply said, "Because he's my friend."
The simplicity of her words stunned them. It was a truth so plain and yet so powerful that it made some of them reconsider how they treated others.
Soon, small acts of kindness began to ripple through the playground. One by one, kids started to include Liam in their games.
A boy passed him the soccer ball.
A girl offered him a bite of her snack.
Slowly, the walls of loneliness Liam had built around himself began to crumble, but the real magic of this story isn't just about Liam being noticed.
It's about what Emma taught everyone without even meaning to. Kindness doesn't need a reason.
It doesn't need applause or recognition. Sometimes, it's just one person taking a moment to see someone who's invisible, and the world around them begins to change. One chilly afternoon, the school announced an art contest.
Liam wasn't sure he wanted to enter.
He had always liked drawing, but he didn't think anyone would care.
Emma, of course, encouraged him.
"You're really good at this," she said.
"I want to see what you create." With Emma's encouragement, Liam entered the contest.
He spent nights sketching and painting, pouring his feelings onto the canvas, his loneliness, his hope, his new friendship. When the results were announced, Liam's painting had won first place. But more importantly than the ribbon or the applause, Liam realized something profound. Kindness had given him a sense of belonging, a courage to try, and a voice he thought he had lost. The next day, Liam brought extra pencils to school. He gave one to a new student who looked as lost as he had once felt. A small act, but one that mirrored what Emma had done for him. And slowly, the chain continued. Small, invisible acts of kindness, sharing, helping, noticing, began to weave a stronger, more caring community. By the end of the school year, Liam had friends, confidence, and something he hadn't believed possible when he first arrived: hope. And it all started with one girl who simply stopped to notice him. One girl who chose to make a difference when everyone else walked by. Sometimes, we underestimate the power of a single act of kindness.
We assume that if no one else notices, it doesn't matter.
But every smile, every invitation, every simple hello can ripple far beyond what we see.
Emma's kindness didn't just help Liam, it reminded everyone around her that no one should feel invisible.
That every person deserves to be seen, to be heard, and to feel valued. So the next time you see someone sitting alone, or someone struggling quietly, remember this story.
You don't have to have a reason to be kind.
You don't need a special occasion or a grand gesture. Sometimes, the smallest, simplest act, stopping, looking, saying hello, can change someone's entire world. Liam never forgot Emma's kindness. He carried it with him as he grew, becoming someone who noticed others, just as she had noticed him. And in that way, the ripple continued, touching people he would never even meet. One person's choice to care can truly create a chain of hope and compassion that stretches far beyond what we can imagine. In the end, kindness isn't just a feeling.
It's action. It's bravery in a quiet, gentle form.
It's a gift we give not because we expect anything in return, but because someone, somewhere, might need to be reminded that they matter. So look around you. See the people who might be invisible, the ones who feel overlooked or forgotten.
Stop for a moment. Smile. Ask them to join you. Listen. Be that one person who chooses to make a difference.
Because sometimes, all it takes is one person stopping to notice, and suddenly, the world feels a little warmer, a little brighter, and a lot more hopeful. And that's the story of Liam and Emma, a story that shows us that kindness matters, that noticing someone matters, and that one small act can change a life forever.